section 13.7, we're going to be solving quadratic applications. And we just have a whole bunch of word problems here we'll try to figure out. So let's start with the first one. And let's say the length of a rectangle is 2 inches more than the width. And the area is 15 square inches. Find the length and width. Generally, the way that I try to do these problems is I draw it out. So if we have a length and we have a width, the length is 2 more than the width, so it would be W plus 2. It talks about area. Area is equal to length times width. But the area is 15, and that's going to be the length times the width. We have another quadratic equation. What we could do is multiply it out. So this would be W squared plus 2W is 15. Make it equal to 0. And then just factor it. So the hard part with this is just setting it up. This would be W plus 5 times W minus 3. Sometimes when you're solving these word problems, you get an answer that doesn't make sense. Like, which of these answers wouldn't make sense here? The -5 right here, right? Yeah. So you can't have a negative width. So if the width is 3 and the length is the width plus 2, that means that the length would be 5. What if I asked you to find 2 consecutive numbers whose sum is 48? When we say consecutive, that means one right after the other. So like 4, 5, 6, 7, those are consecutive numbers. So the way that we set this up is we just say the first number plus the second number is equal to 48. We don't know what the first number is, but we know the second number is the next consecutive, so x plus 1. This would just be 2x plus 1 is 48. Subtracting the 1. That would be 2x is equal to 47. Dividing by 2. 47 divided by 2 is 23.5. So the numbers are a little wonky here. I mean, usually they're like whole numbers, but 23.5 would be our first number. And then the second number would be 24.5. If you were to add those together, you get 48. Right. What if I told you the perimeter is 38 times the length of the side of each side? And what if we had a picture that looked like this? And I told you this side was x plus 8. This side was x plus 4. This was 3x minus 2. And this was x squared minus 2x. Well, if we know the perimeter is 38, perimeter just means we add up all the sides. We're going to do x squared minus 2x, this side, plus this side, plus this side, plus this side. And that's 38. Combine our like terms, so we just have 1x squared, but it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. So what is that? X plus x is 2x plus x is 3x. Negative 2 plus the 4 is 2 plus 8 is 10. We could bring the 38 on the other side. Now we just have to factor this. I'm sorry, what's that? We just brought this on the other side. Thank you. This would just be 7 and negative 4. I'm going to skip some of the factoring steps. We've done them like quite a bit here. But you get x is negative 7 and you get x is positive 4. I don't think x could be negative 7 because you can't have a negative length. So if we're going to answer the question about how long is each side, if x is 4, this would be 8. This would be 12. This would be 12 minus 2 is 10. And 16 minus 8 is 8. This is like one of those SAT problems where it says not drawn to scale, right? The hardest part of the SAT when I took it was, you know, where they make you sign that certification box. They say, like, I certify I'm not going to cheat, right? When I took it, you had to do it in person. And that wasn't something that we, like, you know, did all the time. But now I think you could either print it or use person. Keep the good times going here. So let's say the area of the parallelogram is 45 square miles. Find the base and the height. And I'll give you a parallelogram. Okay, it looks like this. And height going to be x minus 6, and the base is x plus 6. The area of a parallelogram is always just base times height, even if it's a shape like this, rectangles, squares, even something like this. So what we know is we know the base is x plus 6. We know the height is x minus 6. And we know the area of the whole thing is 45. So let's multiply it out, make it equal to 0, and then try to solve it. We'll bring the 45 over. We'll just get 0 is equal to x squared minus 81. Doesn't matter what side you put the equal side on. From here, this is a difference of perfect squares. And this would be x plus 9 times x minus 9. So x plus 9 is 0. X would be negative 9 and positive 9. More of these. Yeah, so it was asked us to find the base and the height. So the height, we can't have a negative x here. So the height would be 9 minus 6, which is 3. And the base would be 9 plus 6, which is 15. Good. Yeah, I mean, really, for some of these, you could just like plug in x values and see which ones work. But the algebra is the fastest general, way to get there. All right, a couple more. What if we said an object is thrown upwards following the equation h is equal to negative 16t squared plus 144t plus 160. And h is our height in feet. When will the object hit the ground? So it'll hit the ground when the height is equal to what? 0, right? So let's set our equation. Equal to 0. Something we could do, we didn't talk about quadratic formula or anything yet, but one thing we can do is factor out a GCF of 16, negative 16. And if we do that, let's see, 144 divided by 16 is 9. And then this would just be negative 10. And then we just set the factors equal to 0. Really, you could just divide both sides by negative 16. This negative 16 doesn't have any x in front, so it doesn't really matter. But at this point, when we get this far, we could factor just like usual, which would just be t plus 10 and t minus 1. So you get t plus 10 is 0, or t is negative 10. And t minus 1 is 0, so t would be 1. Can't have negative time, so look, after 1 second, it would be unchecked. All right, maybe we'll do one more of these before we move on to the next section. So what if when the sides of a square are increased by 2, the area becomes 25 square inches. Find the length of the sides of the square. What this means, square has all the same lengths. So they're all the same length. We can call those lengths x, right? But when we increase those sides by 2, the area becomes 25 square inches. So the way we figure out the area is it's always length times width. For a square, it's obviously the same thing, right? So 25 would be the area, and that's x plus 2 times itself. That's how you set it up. The hardest part with these are just setting it up. And then from here, we make it equal to 0, factor, and solve. So if we were to distribute, you get x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4 is equal to 25. We'll make it equal to 0. And then just solve it like the other problems. You factor this, this will just be x plus 7 times x minus 3. We'll get x is negative 7 and x is 3.